you're recording this like this is like a professional thing?
No, no, that's the
Oh,
beauty of it. And we don't
oh,
have to actually record. But what I was thinking was
yeah.
we everybody does all these professional things, right? And it just kind of gets in the way sometimes of the people. And I thought, how cool would it be just to have an informal, not professional at all, lunch, cigars, chat about life, chat about whatever.
Amen.
Think comedians riding in cars, but no comedians and no cars.
No, we don't have that budget.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even have the budget for that. So I've watched. It's funny you brought that up. I've been binging the whole series because I wanted to
Oh,
go
really?
back. Before I was just kind of piecing and picking the ones I wanted. Like the Ricky Gervais was funny. I really like him, but he was picked up in a convertible the first time and it was freezing. So then Seinfeld like redid it in this Rolls Royce and they did 2 episodes. But I say that because even regardless of the car, their budget on like the coffee and the pastries that they're buying, like they're just like, oh yeah, give me 2 of those, give me 3 of those. Oh, I'm going to take these to go. I'm like, that's expensive. That's pricey.
Yeah,
New York pastries.
dude. I can't even imagine, man. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine. But when's the last time you've seen a convertible, like in real life? I feel like growing up, they were everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, do you consider like a Jeep Wrangler, like those styles? Do you consider that a convertible? The top
No.
comes down, right? You're talking more sedan, like the Mustangs of
Yeah.
the world, and yeah,
Yeah, the coupe that had like,
yeah,
yeah, the top comes down. I don't know when they fell out of fashion, but I think quietly they just kind of did.
yeah. I think it's a lot like a pool, right? Depending on what
Mm,
what coach you're on. A pool in theory is great. Like I just sold my house and we had a pool, but it turns out to be more of a pain in the ass. I think I went in it once this year, and yeah, it's for the kids, and yeah, it's great. But then as they get older, it's like they want to jump in it with friends, and then they just leave a mess, and then it turns into madness, and then it's really just maintenance. And here we only have it open
yeah.
for 3 months out of the year. Let me
Oh,
close the
Jesus.
door. Yeah, it's three months out of the year, right? I mean, that's the only time we have nice weather or swimmable weather.
That's messed up, dude. And you
Yeah,
have a pool. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah,
You're that guy.
yeah.
That's
You
awesome.
got you got a pool and that you can't even use. Oh, but it is what it is.
I think
So
like this day and age, pools are kind of like boats. You don't want them yourself. You want to have a friend that has one, right?
yeah. Oops. What happened?
Mm, I don't know. I'm staring at your beautiful face though.
Oh, mine says Zoom call.
Uh-huh. You're frozen.
There
Oh,
we go.
there it is. There
There
it
it is.
is.
Back. I'm just trying to get a better, maybe a better setup, better. This seems low. So I'm trying to see if there's an adjustment. So I don't have you on my computer. I have you on my phone.
Dude, so what I actually did, and I had like a webcam and I thought I'd install it and it'd be great. It didn't work. I don't know why it just wouldn't work. But then it had a send to phone option. And so right now my phone is in front of my computer doing all the work. This is crazy.
All right. There you go. Look at you.
Yeah, like here, I'll switch back to the FaceTime camera on the laptop. Look at that. It's just all
Yeah.
right here, doing all the things.
See, you're more advanced that way.
Trying
I'm open.
trying to get there.
Yeah, I'm opening up the laptop. That's going to give me a better visual
Mm,
without cutting you out, and then I'm gonna reconnect. But yeah, man, what's
okay.
so things been good?
Things have been good, man. I stopped deploying last May. So it's been almost a year and a half of just hanging out with the kiddos and getting to explore Virginia and smoking cigars in good weather.
Yeah, amen.
Although I do kind of miss that like arid temp. I do. The humidity, it's a little funny in the summer here. But there's nothing like smoking cigars if you can get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and it's 75, 80 degrees with like 5 to 10% humidity.
Yeah,
That that is amazing.
right. Not like here I'm switching over. If I could leave.
The hot switch. This switch is brought to you by United Cigars. Allegedly. Dude, we're gonna do some eating because I am hungry.
There we
There
go.
he is.
You hear
There
me?
he is. I hear you.
Oh,
Are
dude.
you a
All right.
lime guy on your tacos?
Yeah, certain ones, like
Mm.
certain proteins.
Okay. Well, let me get your expert advice. Because if you don't know yet, Oliver is the expert on tacos. I've got sweet potato and something or other here with like pumpkin seed on it, which sounds amazing.
All right, spicy.
A little spicy, yeah, a
Yeah,
little spicy. And then this guy here is
like
pork of some
uh,
sort.
pork. I was gonna say, is that chopped? It looks like maybe an al pastor.
Yeah,
More,
yeah. And
more
then this
shaved.
is that's chorizo. Oh wait, that might be chorizo and potato. There might be potatoes
That's
under.
chorizo. Yeah,
Yeah, and then a little pork on this side.
that looks like the al pastor. That looks more shredded.
Mm.
And what do they put? Peppers on there? What's the red? I see a ton of like thick cilantro.
I think that red is actually tomato. Yeah, I think the red's tomato. So lime them all or not so much?
I would so I don't know if I would lime the chorizo. I would lime the sweet potato and the al pastor.
Boom.
That's yeah,
That's the money right there.
that's how I do it.
Let's do that.
So
This sweet potato is really weird, but really good.
yeah, so I don't know Mexican dishes, but they like potatoes. So there is a papas right, potato. I forget what they call it, but it's a spicy potato. So you can get that as the taco. So
Huh.
that they're in this case they're using the sweet potato. So I like that. I like that option.
I do too. And the pumpkin seed, I like the crunch, the texture.
That feels very fall.
Yeah, and I got all of this for I think $12, which
Yeah.
I mean, so good.
Look, that's part.
So
I love tacos to begin with, street tacos. All right, not so
mm,
much. I feel like once they go restaurant, once they go menu server to the
hmm
table, it changes, right? They just
hmm
lose that, not necessarily authenticity, but they lose that people food.
hmm
And I don't really jump towards the restaurant style tacos, but the street taco, the taco trucks, where it's just a tortilla, the protein and then the toppings.
hmm
It's pretty special. But yeah, it started because I loved tacos to begin with, and it really, playing around, kidding around saying, oh, it's a United budget, low end. I'm traveling, I'm grinding, and I'm not spending it on food. I'm spending it on the on the people out there. And then people started asking, questions. Well, why do you love tacos so much? And it's like, well, how can you not, right? Because it's what you love wrapped in a tortilla.
Yeah.
And then really, I started to break it down and say, well, it's very similar to a cigar. The tortilla is that outer shell, and you can get corn flour. You could use a lettuce wrap. Um, so that's the wrapper. The filler is the protein. So you have sweet potato as your filler for one, you have chorizo as your filler for two, and then al pastor for the third filler. So you have three different tacos, three different cigars. And then the binder is what holds it all together. That's the salsa, the cilantro, the onions, the everything else that they put on to kind of hold it all together. So very similar to a cigar.
Mm.
And even those small components that are in that taco or a cigar, if you took the same ingredients and tried to replicate those tacos, and I tried to do the same, and then we met in the middle and say, okay, we'll try mine, try yours. They could be two completely different tacos,
Totally.
right? So it's the
Yeah.
same thing with
Yeah.
cigar. Yeah,
Beautifully put. And before we leave tacos real quick, corn or flour? I'm super
corn.
curious.
I'm corn.
Everybody that loves street tacos loves corn, except for me. I'm the only flour guy I know.
It's a California thing, isn't it?
It's a texture thing for me. Well, I'm actually in Virginia.
Yeah.
The guys are in California, but like it's the texture. I love the flour. I guess it's like the white bread. I don't I don't even
Yeah.
like white bread.
Yeah, the flour. So flour, I feel most of those tortillas are pretty similar, right? There's not
Hmm.
a lot of variation. Corn tortilla, there is such a variation. Now a fresh flour tortilla, because I've made those before, are phenomenal. And I can just put butter on them and
Ooh,
you just eat the flour tortilla.
oh
And
man, that's
those are
breakfast tacos for me.
yeah, those are really
Hmm.
good. But corn tortilla, they can flake, they can break apart, they can be different densities, thicknesses. Fresh corn
Hmm.
tortilla, phenomenal. So yeah, a little, it varies. It varies. So hey, I apologize for the little delay we had, but
Oh,
I'm getting ready to go to Intertabak in Germany. So I
that's
leave.
right.
So I got a couple days here, and I'm trying to finalize a couple things. So it's just been a little bit of madness, but you can always sneak in some lunch. And on the last call I had, because it wasn't video, and I was like, all right. So I just ate a little something quick, but it's all right. A little lunch cigar.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a salad, right? It's
Right.
non-GMO, gluten-free salad.
Right. There you go.
So I was thinking of like things we could call this in the future, and I had two options, neither of which are good. Stogies and hoagies. I just don't like sandwiches that much.
So using
Sticks
August.
and dicks. But you know what? We might have some ladies that want to join eventually.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
High
Right now,
like
I'm
a
just calling
high,
it lunch
high
and
noon,
cigars.
high noon cigar.
Ooh.
Uh,
Oh, we get the
yeah. Uh, Yeah, that's a good one because you'll be smoking and it's lunch, but lunch for some, um, so it's a mid-afternoon uh relaxation.
mm-hmm.
So siestas and cigars or um
Ooh. Damn, man, you're doing this on the fly, and you're
yeah,
already
yeah,
coming
yeah.
out with better
Yeah, just go,
options.
different value. Look, you throw some stuff out there, see what sticks because it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, to your point, if you go hoagies and you're like, "Ah, I don't like hoagies. But you want something that's going to be relatable to everybody. So it's that mid-afternoon, um, midday fun. Um, yeah, lunchtime burn down or
That's it. There's just something about lunch that's beautiful. You can't have heavy conversation at lunch. I mean, I guess
mm,
you could, but like, it's just delightful. It's refreshing, keeps everything casual and
yeah.
formal. Speaking of, I'm drinking a lager. I think
Oh,
it's a sessionable lager. It's a low.
basic.
mm, yeah, it's like a 4.5% lager. This cigar with a lager, killer. It's
Wow,
killer.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
smoking the box press.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also I reblended. So first redid the packaging for United now, I don't know, 4 years, I guess. And we updated the logo and then I wanted to update the packaging to reflect that. And I wanted to make sure we started to tie in all of our products together because our portfolio is pretty extensive. 25 different lines and 200
Huge.
SKUs. And so how does somebody smoking the abuelo know that it's United? So obviously on the outer packaging on the bottom I try to put the United logo now, but on the back of the band I started to put a coin so that people can see it's all United. On the even on the United, the new United, the
Mm.
blend is so it's in the round, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
on the band, there are the gold. You see the gold stars. I don't know if that is showing up,
Oh yeah.
but so a couple gold stars, and then we have the line that came out called Gold Star. In
That's
our
right.
firecracker has the red anchor, and then the red anchor came out. So we try to, I try to play around with everything as much as I can without taking away from, I don't want to take away from firecracker with the red anchor too prominent, but the red anchor is on there, so then it
Yeah.
can relate back to red anchor. Because what I noticed, when we were going through the whole FDA process, in the portfolio is even more extensive. We had more lines, but we had to cut it down because some weren't registered or some weren't grandfathered in. But you could use the names and then apply it to a different line. So something like Gold Star, which came out 96, 97, was something that was relatable to me and I felt relatable to everybody. And if you see a Gold Star, you'll be like, well, the cigar had, I don't know, it had some gold on it. I think there was a star where a lot of people with names are like, I don't remember the name started with an M, right? It started with a
Right.
G, right?
But the
So Gold Star just
yeah.
kind of, yeah, stands out. Red Anchor stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Firecracker with the eagle and the wick,
Mm-hmm.
the fuse stands
Oh
out.
yeah.
So
That's my other one I got out here today.
oh,
Is the
hombre,
firecracker with the wick.
wow.
Yeah. Oh, you know
Uh,
what else I should show off? I got this guy here too that you
there
gave me
you
a
go.
long time ago.
Oh yeah, that's the original.
Yeah. Super cool.
So
Super
we
cool.
we
What?
updated we updated him where he's on a platform now, and he's got United underneath, so he's just standing on a platform. So at least again, branding, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because like to me, this is synonymous with United. But
Yeah,
for everybody else that's new to the party, maybe not so much.
right. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
see it, and when I want to make something with mileage, so that is when you go into shops now, the that nostalgic feel. You see things on the shelves of, hopefully we're not one of them, but you see brands from the past, from the 30s, 40s, like even if you look at this, that Byron logo behind me, which was from an event that we did, um, that's from 1850. That's the original logo that the family had done, and then Nelson obviously updated it. But there are things on the shelf of brands that are no longer around. But like
Mm-hmm.
this ashtray. So if that's on the shelf, you see it, and you're like, it's a red anchor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the front, now it says red anchor. But I want something that's going to have mileage and people can see it and maybe appreciate it. And if it's on the shelf and we're still around in 50 years, then people will remember that stuff. They see the ombre ashtray, then they'll remember that.
Mm. How is the it's Dos Hombres for the brand, right? It's not
Uh,
Trace, right? It's the two.
Sorry.
It's Dos Hombres is the official brand name, right?
There's a Dos Hombre line. Yeah, it is Dos Hombre, not Tres Hombres.
Yeah, I was like, that's Trace Amigos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
How is that? If I remember right, it was like a value conscious cigar. It was something that was easy to get and accessible and not crazy expensive.
Yeah, the Dos Hombre, the plan behind that was to make a cigar that was approachable, but also being price conscious, where it was $5 no matter where you went in the country. So we were supporting retailers with that brand in a way that they could price it on the shelf at $5 no matter what state they're in.
Hmm.
Um, because some people don't realize that there's a different percentage in tobacco tax that is applied to the cigar before it hits the shelf. So people in California, I think they just went down to 56% because they adjust it every year. So every year it kind of goes down, but it's still very high. New York's at 75, Massachusetts 30%, so or 40%, and then some have caps. Um, 5 cents, 2 cents, and some states like New Hampshire, DC, Pennsylvania, Florida don't have any tobacco tax. So
Yep.
it's not necessarily that the retailer's trying to get more out of the cigar in dollars. It's that they have a high tobacco tax. So we were trying to make a cigar that was just kind of retailer friendly, even playing field.
Dude, I didn't realize that you guys were taking the brunt of that. I just assumed it was an affordable cigar. But that is super cool if you guys were working for every state to make it $5.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of work, man.
It's a lot of work, and it doesn't, it doesn't,
Oh, wow.
depending on the state, it doesn't always work. For us,
Mm-hmm.
we're retiring off of it. We're obviously our margins are different, and we're but we just look for a balance. So how can we just have one line that balance across the US will work, and they can benefit everybody. So
That's awesome.
yeah, but yeah, United went through a whole reblend, so I'll have to get you these. And we
That's
just
cool,
launched
dude.
Connecticut this year.
Ooh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. 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 Yeah, I think this one's from maybe a year or two ago. Maybe a little longer. I don't know. But
yeah,
these like get really good with some age,
yeah,
especially when you figure in the price. I mean, there's only so many cigars at this price range that can deliver.
yeah.
And this guy does it. And I usually pull them out around like July 4th, Labor Day. And I usually give people a selection like, hey, you can smoke this, this, or this. And this guy gets picked a lot. It's
Yeah.
just iconic.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we
Iconic.
tried
Yeah.
like, even all the United boxes. I don't know if you've seen the new ones, but every United box has a star from a flag that's no longer able to fly because it's weathered, discolored. So those flags are sent to a
Ah,
foundation called Stars for Our Troops.
yeah.
And yeah, we donate back to them. We buy the stars from them. We send them down to the Dominican, and then one star goes in every single box just as a way to say thank you, and to vets and uh, uh, military and first responders.
That is awesome. I had
Yeah,
no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a little
Dude.
piece kind of hidden in
Yeah.
there. We don't. Obviously I'm promoting. I'm telling you because we're proud of it, but we're yeah, it's just a little piece that goes into the box just to show some appreciation.
That is cool.
Yeah. And then Veterans Day, look for
Love it.
the Veterans Day. We got the United box that comes out. It's only one size right now, the Toro, but there's a little yellow strip on the corner that says "Thank you to our veterans." And then inside the box, there are two cigars with a yellow footband that are free to retailers. So they only pay for 18 cigars, but they get a box of 20. So those two cigars are meant to just be handed to a veteran that walks in that day for Veterans Day.
That's incredible, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
so many awesome things.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Well, thank you. But yeah, it's all under the radar. Because
Yeah.
if it kind of feels strange to when you're trying to do something good to to promote it also.
Right. Right.
But because we're
Yeah.
it's not necessarily raising money. It's just an awareness and a thank you. So it's a little tip of the hat and a thank you, and see what we can do.
Hmm. I mean, as a consumer, I think that that's kind of the right way to approach it. If you toot your own horn too much, then it becomes more of like a photo op and less of a
Right,
yeah,
right. And
yeah,
yeah, it's more about the action and the
right,
act of
right.
right. Yes. Uh,
Yeah, but it's cool now that we can talk about it because I
yeah.
had no idea. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have never had any idea.
No.
Wow, dude, just killing it in silent. What do they call it? Silent professional.
Yeah. See, yeah. It's like we're like the sniper on top. Yeah. Nobody
Hmm.
sees it there. Nobody talks about it, but it's there. You just gotta watch out.
Dude, I
But
wanted to ask you about these guys. I didn't really have an agenda for today, but the firecrackers. What's your favorite? You've done I don't know how many different variations over the years. Do you have like a personal one that you keep around, you still smoke to this day, you look forward to?
well, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to keep them around. It turns into the you open the box and you're like, oh, I got 10 left. I don't want to smoke it, but you have to smoke it. And you
Yeah.
can't take it with you. But yeah, I mean the Perdomo was a great one. I just talked to them this morning, actually, because they make our Garofalo line, and so I'll meet them out in Germany. But I would say my favorite was the Bandolero.
Mm.
That was special because of the extra age. Um, the blend was unique because it was a blend between the A series and the C series of Bandolero, so which made it unique. And all the firecrackers there, it was meant to be a collaboration, a cross promotion of the two companies, whichever company we work with. So most of the time, the company we work with will have their blend. It's a representation in their box and their packaging and their blend, but it's a variation, slight variation of their cigar, but then it's in our firecracker format.
Hmm.
So the Bandolero was unique because it was different. It's a blend that wasn't available and isn't available. So that was probably my top one.
Dude, Bandolero, if somebody's watching this and doesn't know, the original Bandolero, amazing. Amazing. But the new Bandoleros, even better. And it's not always that way. Sometimes something gets reblended and you're like, oh, I missed the original.
Yeah,
But the new Bandoleros are amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Just
They're
amazing.
I'll see. So like I said, I'm going to Germany, but I'm stopping in Spain, and I'll go to
Mm.
Madrid to see Nelson because Nelson is building his offices. He'll have a lounge, a display area, like a little museum of all his things that he's done internationally. Um, and then in the back, I'll have his warehouse, his aging rooms. He has about it will be the largest humidor, I think he said I mean, well, it will be the first factory back in Madrid. It will be the largest humidor in Europe, if not, I don't want to say if the world, but he's got about 20 25 rooms to age the cigars separately, individually. So it's
Wow.
yeah, pretty unique. And in his aging process, which is different than anyone, right? Where he
Yeah.
uses the five different cedars and controlling the humidity, raising it, lowering it over the course of Bandolero's 1 to 2 years of post roll age, and Atabey Byron anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Atabey's a minimum of 5 years, but Byron's the one that has that variation. So all those rooms will be controlled individually based on the cigar that's going in to those rooms. It's
Wow.
incredible. Yeah.
And is it fair to say that he is the most extensive ager of cigars on the planet? I mean, I can't think of another brand that commits to that type of aging.
No, yeah. Um, just knowing what I know and speaking to other manufacturers, there are cigars that are aged with a purpose, and then there are some that are aged almost on accident or mistake, or something didn't go through one particular year, and now it's like, oh, we have this brand is now 5 years old.
Hmm.
Nelson's process, to my knowledge, is unique. Nobody else. Before, when he first started, nobody was doing it at all. 100%. Nobody was aging it that way. There are collectors on the consumer side that age cigars, but their cigars are aged at the set temperature and humidity.
Hmm.
Typically, just one cedar, right? The
Hmm.
Spanish cedar, where Nelson's using the five different cedars. So he uses Cuban, Spanish, Mexican, Brazilian, Lebanese, and then ages the cigars through that process of lowering humidity so that the cigars actually purge all the other impurities. And then when
Hmm.
they're going up to 70 plus, they're breathing in all the different cedar notes. So
Right.
it cleans the cigar, and that's why, in my experience and from what others have said as well, it's very clean on the palate because of
Hmm.
that extra aging
The
and
off
purging.
gassing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I can still say because no one else has said that they do it, and if they do it, I'd love to see the process. Uh,
Yeah.
it's easy to say, but it's another one to replicate it. He's the only one that does that process.
I like to think in the summer months that I do something similar here when I can't keep my house below like 73.
Right.
I,
Right.
I'm just letting them cycle, I'm just providing a little extra fermentation juice and
Right.
it'll be all right. It'll be all
Yeah.
right.
We all do it accidentally, right? Sometimes you forget to put, any water in the humidor, and all of a sudden you realize it's 40%, and you're like, oh shit. You get back on it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
sometimes we do it
that's
indirectly. Yeah. But yeah, he's unique that way.
so cool.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, like the French oak. I mean, that's super neat. I think that was the first time too, right? Unless it was a very small project.
No, so that was the French oak was used for the Alfonso and the Byron 1850 and the Atabey Black. So they went through a different aging process, and it's a small. Nelson even said it's a small amount of French oak because one, it's very expensive, and two, it has a strong um, smell and distinct
Mm-hmm.
effect on cigars. So I think you can really taste it in the Byron 1850,
Mm-hmm.
and the Alfonso Grand Selection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the one I've smoked, and yeah, yeah. It's dude, the Añejo, the first one that came out, I think it was the number two size, the little Robusto guy.
yeah.
That's like a cedar bomb and a half.
Mm.
It just tastes so much like cedar. But I enjoy cedar, and I love that little guy.
Yeah, and there are different types of cedar. I mean, maybe 90s, early 2000s. So I started in 90s, 98 in the industry. And then I was smoking in 88, 87, 88 was like the first time I smoked a cigar. But
Wow.
I was a kid. I was 16. I didn't smoke cigarettes. I stole cigars from my dad. But so I remember there were some cigars that everybody needed cedar, and there were some cigars that were coming in tubes, and it was young cedar, so the sap was still coming out. And young cedar, there's a bitterness to it.
Hmm.
So you have to be, it's delicate. Um, if you try to abuse it or rush it, you're going to have a bitterness to it. But if it's like anything, if it's aged, it's a little more refined, it's a little more subtle, and um, it can complement the cigars.
Totally.
So yeah,
Yeah. There's nothing like opening a humidor and just smelling it and knowing that everything is resting in there, and I love it.
aging well, yeah.
Mm.
That's well, that's all right.
Ooh, is that the Connecticut?
That's the Connecticut.
Yeah, that's purdy.
Aged Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. So there's some. So when I was testing out the blends, there were some of the Ecuadorian wrappers that just have that Connecticut bite, which we all, I shouldn't say we all talk about,
Hmm.
but I hear a lot about and that I tasted and didn't really care for. But this was a really nice Ecuadorian wrapper. So that's what we were able to go with. I just wanted something different, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
with
Or
this
is the internal composition similar, or did you
no
reblend all of
different.
it?
So that one on the box press that has Brazilian Matafina,
Mm.
which was just getting harder to source for us. And so I was like, all right, well, let's reblend it and see what we can do. And it started out because I did you ever smoked the United Lancero?
The pencils?
That's no, the
No.
Lancero.
Mm-mm.
I have a I have a Lancero that I just wanted for myself. I'm looking at my humidor, wondering if I have any in there. So I had I wanted to have something that I could hand out when I did events or something kind of unique, something special. And no, Sorry. So
Oh, you're
I
all
just
good.
wanted to have something for, for me. That I blended in something different that I could just hand out that we didn't sell. And that
Hmm.
turned into, the Lancero. And then that started the reblend of United. And it was in, the Lancero obviously round, now box pressed. So then I started to experiment with different tobaccos. I found Dominican broadleaf that Mahia Cubana, our factory that we partnered with in the Dominican, they had Dominican broadleaf. So when I tasted that in the blend and in the round, I thought it was just different, unique. Um, had some body to it, but not overpowering, so it was approachable. And then that turned into the reblending of United, and to put
Mm,
United. Um, I like a box pressed every now and again, but I just feel like I don't, and the market doesn't go towards that all the time.
right.
I just wanted to kind of, steer away from the box pressed for United, and then that turned into
Yeah.
new United blend. So yeah, Dominican
I,
broadleaf
I
is
hear that a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a box press, all the things kind of guy. I just like the slightly better draw. I can set it down. It's not going to roll away when the wind blows. I
Yeah,
I love a box press cigar,
almost
but I
vintage.
hear that a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, yeah. Everybody's just like, give me the round stuff,
Yeah.
But dude, Dominican broadleaf, that's interesting. So like, I've really enjoyed Honduran broadleaf recently, Nicaraguan broadleaf, Dominican broadleaf. I don't know of a blend right now that uses that.
No, nobody.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Okay.
nobody has it. Again, that I know of that they've talked about. Now, will it start coming out possibly? Um, other people will start working with it to see what they can do with it. But yeah, it was something unique to the factory, so I wanted to use it, and it tasted great and love it. So yeah, we'll have to
That's awesome.
get you some samples.
Dude, that'd be super cool to try. Is the leaf any different size in the DR versus, the US?
Oh, like the Pennsylvania broadleaf.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's I mean it's not pretty, like Pennsylvania broadleaf just isn't pretty.
Right.
Um, Thick, size wise, that's a good question.
I've just
Uh,
always been curious in different regions what happens to it.
yeah,
Because I
different
haven't
regions.
really seen it. I've just tasted
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. The plants are different, obviously, on different parts of the plant as well. But yeah, the Pennsylvania broadleaf, I think is smaller than the Dominican broadleaf or um, Connecticut broadleaf. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a unique, it's very real, rich, thick, hearty, flavor. So
Phew.
it just matches. I think it matches well, but it doesn't have a ton of spice, but it just has the body and that girth, that you want in a cigar.
Yeah. Dude,
So,
there's something to be said about a dense cigar, that dense, chewy smoke. I was smoking one the other day that it I couldn't really discern the tasting notes. I was enjoying it, and it was just so chewy. So chewy.
chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love it.
this thickness to the smoke.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
satisfying. It's like
Yeah,
whenever you take out, I guess it's kind of like the vaping crowd, but you smoke it and you get a lot of smoke output. You're like satisfied.
right.
Yeah, just
Well,
so satisfying.
that's all in the construction, right? The tobaccos, and yeah, sometimes it's almost frustrating where you're smoking, you're puffing on the cigar, and you're just not getting enough.
Yeah.
Then just create this heat, and it affects the way the cigar burns and tastes, and it's not good. It's shouldn't be
No,
too much.
no, no. Oh, speaking of effort, somebody asked me a question and I was just like, I don't know. But you might be uniquely positioned to answer this for them. So Tucker, this one's for you, bud. But he asked me like, why are there so many fires at all these aging rooms? And at first I was like, well, third world countries, it's a little different, it's harder, blah blah blah. And he was like, yeah, but I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago now, it happened in the US. And you're
Right.
just like, hmm. Hmm. But every week now we're seeing fires.
Fires. Yeah. Well, not only in tobacco, but like all these chicken farms too, right? Is that what you're also referring to? Right. Seems
Yeah,
like a
like
lot.
what?
Yeah, a lot of fires. Well, I think
Yeah.
the heat, when you're cooking tobacco, right? Basically, because these the bolognas when they're fermenting, it
Hmm.
raises the temperature. If it's not controlled, and then I don't know, maybe OSHA's not down there watching over things, or things that are plugged in that shouldn't be plugged in, and different wiring,
Yeah. And the only
things.
other thing I could think of too is there's so many places that cohabitate.
Mhm.
So it might not even necessarily be their fire. It could have been somebody else's fire in the same conglomerate of buildings.
Right. And everything in the factory is combustible. The tables are made out of wood. You have the box factory, the varnish, that's there. So you have the fumes, you have the tobacco, you have,
Yeah,
um, everything's combustible. So yeah, you're gonna see a
fair
little
point.
bit. It's a little more painful when you hear of these tragedies, um, with something that you love. So it's like it affects more,
Yes.
right? But the barns, everything is just combustible in there. So it could be one person that just had a cigar going and dropped it and started some fire too. So
That'd be a bad day.
it's bad news. It's all bad news.
It's a
So
bad
maybe
time, Bob.
maybe in the past, not current companies. Maybe in the past there was some insurance problems that they had to try to fix. Oh,
Oh, dude, this reminds me. Remember a long time ago, you sent out a press release about, I think it was faking Atabey
hmm.
or Atabey fakes. Is that still a thing?
I hear little bits and pieces of it. Like somebody says that they smoked an Atabey without a band. That's not really faking
Mm,
it. It's just someone misrepresenting uh
yeah,
the line. But I think anytime you have more of a premium in anything, people are going to try and do a little sleight of hand to their consumer to get a couple extra dollars,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
we've some. And we've had and it was even, some of the accounts that I shouldn't say accounts like plural, but, it's happened where somebody has like a bundle or a wheel of, cigars that are unbanned. And they're like, oh, this is made at the same factory. It's just these are Atabey seconds. We don't, yeah, there are no seconds, right? There's no, made at the same factory doesn't mean anything. And, but they, so they try to get a couple extra dollars out of the consumer. It's unfortunate, but yeah, that happens.
Dude, Atabey is the one cigar. Maybe I've just smoked a lot of them, but I feel like an Atabey when you smoke it.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
If
indistinguishable
you
from
don't,
everything else, or
right.
distinguishable from everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the same team there. But I think for some that don't know, and if they smoke a cigar and it's just, smooth, mild, and you tell them, hey, this is a $30 cigar. They'll be, oh, this is fantastic. And it's $30, but I'll sell it to you for 15. It's like the cigars that are on the Mexican beaches. Everyone's like, "Oh, it was the best, Cohiba I've ever smoked in my life." It was
Yeah,
the environment you were in, and you think you got a deal, and it was just, everything around that just made it taste amazing.
yeah, and it probably actually drew because it was short filler. Just
Right, right.
so you could actually smoke it. So yeah,
Yeah,
it might have been the best.
yeah, and it had this, beautiful vanilla French vanilla bean taste to it. Like, yeah, no, it's not it. So. Yeah, the counterfeiting side was just a small. It was in a region that maybe a couple shops got together and did it. But that's been, we haven't seen that come up again. But
Awesome.
yeah, like the seconds or the unbanded, because
Mm,
they know somebody at the factory that got them. That doesn't happen.
yeah,
Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't happen. It happens, but we don't sell seconds. There was
No,
even
you would just smoke them. Oliver would smoke them all.
right, right. And Nelson, Nelson is very particular on what goes out and what goes into the boxes and out. It's a very it's a small operation. It's a small quantity as well
Hmm.
because of the aging. So uh, yeah, there are no seconds. Somebody reached out to me one time through social media and said that the shop presented it to them as uh, as a second, but that the national the national guy sold it to him. I was like, no, we don't. One, we don't have access to it, and two, there are just no seconds. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Those are smoked by Nelson internally or destroyed, and um, yeah, there's no market for that.
yeah. Because is it still limited to like 500 boxes per size each year?
No, that's
For I
gone up.
think
Like
Atabey.
first, yeah, when Atabey first launched, and that's why some of the newer releases, they're small quantities of 200 boxes. So I mean it's nothing. Um,
Hmm.
the Alfonso Añejo, when it first released, there were six, but there are currently six sizes, but it released as six sizes, 200 boxes of each, because he's still trying to figure out like, will this blend work? Because he's blending it and then he's letting it age for those
Hmm.
6 going through that process. So he doesn't know what it's going to be. So you have to start small because, even if it's 200 boxes, it's still a lot of money, for him to lose if it doesn't work.
Oh yeah. Even if it wasn't expensive to have the product, the opportunity cost of having all those rooms tied up for years at a time, that's
Yeah.
crazy to think about.
Yeah, God. And he's using
Yeah.
top his wrapper, the wrapper leaf on Atabey is, close to $100 a pound, which is, top. Yeah, I don't know who else uses any wrapper like that.
Man,
Very expensive.
that is. I
So
remember, wasn't it like Connecticut broadleaf when everybody started switching to San Andreas? Wasn't it like 80 bucks a pound at the time? And that was like so exorbitant that they were shifting.
away from, yeah, it was I don't know I don't know the exact cost of the broadleaf. We've never used Connecticut broadleaf because I think when it started to become popular, yeah, we didn't have access to it, on my end, so we had already switched, um or we were already using the Mexican San Andres.
Yeah.
But yeah, it became expensive and just harder and harder to get. But now Mexican San Andres is becoming a slight problem. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of
Dude,
could be shortages coming up because they didn't have a good crop the last couple of years.
that's right. Like I think we're about to see a shift. And I'm thinking maybe that's why like Ecuadorian Sumatra Maduro has become a bigger thing in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What do you think? It seems to me like it's more prominent now.
Well, I think, because we're in the industry where we've created this animal of like, what's new? What do you have? I need something different. Where, the old school way was, Partagas has been, as a Cuban brand, right? Some of these brands have been around for, forever, but they never really changed anything.
Hmm.
And now it's like, oh, what's new? What do you come out with? What's the different blend? What's the different, um, line? What's unique? So we're always trying to evolve into something different when, sometimes you just have to, the our final destination is still the same. We want to make the consumer happy, but we're always trying to
Yeah.
change lanes. Sometimes you just got to put
Yeah.
our control and stay in that lane and just keep it good.
And anecdotally, I think Atabey kind of it works from the cost perspective because I can't smoke a ton of Atabey. I can only smoke as many Atabey as I can afford.
Right.
And so I smoke them when I can. I love getting the tubos whenever they come out, and I love handing those out as gifts around Christmas time and whatnot. Stocking stuffers too is great, but it's not something I can have all the time. And
Yeah.
so whenever I get an opportunity, I'm always thinking about adding Atabey to my cart, having it for special occasions. So maybe that price being a little bit prohibitive also keeps it more in our mind too.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. And when like with anything, I guess when you know that the quality and consistency is there, you kind of keep it as something, all right, I want to go back to it, at some point, and the more often I can, the better. But yeah, it's if it's expensive, you're not eating steak every day, you're not eating, drinking a $30 bottle of wine every day. But
Right.
every now and again, you just pick up a nice bottle. But for your everyday consumption, you're grabbing it. I grab anywhere from nine, or I'd say seven, 8 to $12 bottle of wine.
Hmm.
I I don't want to say daily bottle, but yeah, like a daily nice range. But every now and again, I'll get a $30-$40 bottle just to open up because we're having something special.
That's it.
So, yeah. But when it's good, you keep it in the back of your head as part of your rotation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's just, I don't know. Atabey to me is like, that's peak, I love like Padron 50th and like heavier things. But when I want just mild and wild, I just want to enjoy
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like especially if I'm going out with friends or if I'm leaving the house to go smoke, Atabey's perfect because you don't have that cigar mouth for hours afterwards, It doesn't
Yeah.
linger.
No,
So
it's just,
good.
I was talking about it earlier. It's just it's clean. You
Mhm.
smoke the cigar, but it's just so clean on the palate that if you were to smoke another cigar behind it, you could still taste that cigar. And
Yes.
that's just the quality. Uh, and
Yeah.
then it goes into it. So yeah, it's no, yeah, it's special. I wish I could say I'm kind of the same. I mean, I can't really sit here and smoke Atabays all day. Um, but yeah,
That's a
no,
life goal. That is a life
right,
goal.
right. No, that starts to affect the bottom line.
Yeah, at some point.
Right. So yeah, so I stick a lot of I smoke a lot of Uniteds and the Red Anchor. Been enjoying
Mm.
a lot lately. Um that's a really good blend. I just talked to Hendrik Kellner this morning at KBF, Kellner Boutique Factory in Dominican. So we have a couple sizes that we were just refilling. We had to get some packaging to them, and that'll ship out next week. So yeah, there was the Captain, which is our Robusto. We've been out of stock, so that'll be coming back.
Mm. I know some people that are going to be very excited about that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Normally,
yeah,
whenever we post a picture online of Admiral or Red Anchor, somebody's like, "Oh, do you have this size?" And every
yeah,
time it's the Robusto.
yeah. Yeah. You can't. That's what I mean. You can't really shy away from the fact that Robusto Toro. Those are the sizes that people want. We have the Gunner, which is more of a Lonsdale 6.5 by 43, but and that one surprisingly does really well. I think it's my personal favorite, because I think the blend for that one and just the way it smokes, I love it. But that size is not typically a popular size, but for us that went a lot faster than we had anticipated. So right now the Gunner and the Captain are both out of stock.
Damn.
But yeah, but
I
coming
think
back.
a Lonsdale in that. Yeah, Lonsdale would really be good in that blend.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Really
It's like
good.
the Atabey Spiritus. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Just to
it.
bring everything comes back to Atabey eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess, it's like anything, again, back to food. You can talk about like an aged ribeye, right? That's, it's just so good. But, when things are like $20-$30 a pound, it's like, all right, not every day, but man, that one you cut into it, that one taste, that first bite, you're like, all right, well, this is why I love it. And so
Yeah.
but you just wait for it. But the spiritus was funny because I don't know if I ever told you, but Nelson originally, when the lines came out, there were three lines or three sizes that were available: the Delirios, Ritos, and no, it was Ritos, Brujos, and Divinos, I think. Delirios came
Hmm.
after. And then there were a couple sizes that were available in the tubes, the premium tubes that had the bullet cutter and humidification on the
That's
bottom.
right.
But there was no Lancero. It wasn't even talked about. It wasn't mentioned. And I was driving through Texas one time, and I remember I called Nelson, or he called me, whatever it was, and I asked him. I said, "Have you ever thought about making a Lancero in Atabey? Because I just think like it would really change it, because the difference from Ritos to Divinos was such a change, but it was still like
Hmm.
still tell it was Atabey. It was still smooth and it had depth to it, but it just had a little more, felt like a little more body and a little more
Hmm.
pep to it. So I thought the spiritus would be really interesting. It's like I have it. It's done. It's aging. I just didn't think it would work for the U.S. market. And so I asked him to send me a couple bundles, and I was like, yeah, we have to come out with it. It's brilliant, awesome. So then yeah, then he released it. It was a year or two later. We had it.
Yeah.
It was so good. Yeah,
Yes, you continue to be our champion.
yeah,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
Dude, are you
Lancero.
still collecting crazy amounts of cigars? Are you
No,
still a massive collector?
no. I kind of, yes. I slowed down on that. Well, I should say I stopped when I was in Vegas. That's when I was really doing it, because there was like a market for it, because I could resell it.
Mm,
Uh, but I still have some of those boxes, which is pretty wild.
that's cool.
Some full boxes, like this box of Robert Mantell, which had 100% Cuban filler from, like, he was a Broadway actor in like 1880, 1890, and they had a cigar. There were a few lines with Broadway actors, and he was one of them. So it's Robert Mantell, full box, full, it says full Havana filler, box of 50. That's full. I have a box of old La Polina that sold for 10 cents. Um,
Wow.
yeah, old box of Blue Ribbon. Um, so
Blue
it's
Ribbon. What?
it's
I
the
think I've heard
nostalgia.
about Blue Ribbon before, but I
Yeah,
don't recognize it.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it was one of the things. It just became a little bit of an obsession, just searching and scouring like different, um, between from anywhere from eBay to auction houses that just had them. And because I was reconditioning, collecting, and then some I was reselling. Not that price didn't matter, but almost didn't matter.
Yeah,
Uh, because
because
I
you
know
always had a buyer lined up, and
I had somebody lined up, and I could sell them, and then yeah, and then just held on to the ones that just were that looked special.
yeah,
So it's
that's
pretty cool.
cool as shit, man. So
Yeah.
at your peak and at Restay's peak from Yasim Crawl, head to head celebrity death match, who had the better collection at peak?
I'll just speak on my peak. I think I sold upwards of 20 boxes, a month, would just kind of rotate through my inventory, and some that I wish I kind of kept. Um,
Yeah,
one one that I purchased was, um, and then, not to offend anybody, or it's 2024. I don't want anybody to get upset. I wasn't behind it, but there was a box that it was like a plain wooden box, and it had this tax stamp on it. But it was said to be like a German soldier's box, blah blah blah. And when I got it, the box had zero value, just looking at it, from what I thought. And I cut the tax stamp, opened it up, and it was just cigars, no band on it. They didn't look great. And then I was talking to this one guy who was more of a historian, and he looked closer at the tax stamp, and it had the swastika on there. So
whoa,
it was a Nazi, um, soldier, box. It was probably, so it had more value in the stamp
wow,
box that, I didn't want to have a part of, but there was more value in that, in its sealed box, than anything. But yeah,
wow.
it was like one of those, uh, Al Capone, moments where you open up the vault and, oh, there's nothing. Yeah. Yeah, that was one that I kind of, because there are collectors of that stuff that, yeah, you probably could have turned and just gotten rid of it, but yeah, then it was, yeah, no value after that. But yeah, some of it just kind of, held on to. I didn't want to get rid of, because they were, just looked special, looked
Yeah,
unique. you know that
yeah,
was
totally,
pretty cool.
man.
Yeah. And then I've been able to share a couple with people. There was one box of Buzzer, they're called Buzzer cigars, and it had a butterfly on it. And those were from 1880 from what I saw. It was only half a box that I had, no band on it. So, not really for resale. I wanted to hold on to it. But for the first Atabey Lounge that we ever partnered up for in Frisco, Texas at Industrial Cigars, one night for the members. I was like, all right, well, how many members are going to be back there? And it was going to be a small, intimate group. And they're like, oh, we might have 10 or 15. There was no event. It was just like, hey, I'm going to be in town on this particular night. How many people do you think would be back there? And so, I kind of waited, and I don't know, must have been like 10, 11, o'clock at night. And I was like, all right, you guys want to smoke something special? And I pulled out the box, and we just smoked through, the 1820 that I had. And there was a time that, the whole room was silent as they were just down to the nub. And there was this one guy, John, Big John, he's ex-football player, massive guy, but he had like, it was a roach clip, like just a tiny piece. And you could just see him, like I took a picture of it because he's just smoking it like this. And he was on a different level. And they still talk to this day. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago. So it was just a special moment. So when you can share something like that, that has more value, than
Mm,
just selling it. So yeah, that was a special night.
the memories.
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of sitting down like this, being able to sit down and have a cigar, that's what it is. Right.
Yeah, and I imagine a big giant guy smoking a little roach clip had to be
Yeah.
pretty awesome to
Yeah.
see.
No, this guy's he's got to be 6'5", just 300, like a solid, good 3+ hundred pounds.
Yeah.
That just smoking it. He had I don't know if it was a paper clip in it, but he had something, a makeshift poker. And he was just smoking it down to nothing. But, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Damn. What's the last cigar you smoked down to nothing? What's the last one that was singeing your
Oh,
fingertips?
I Atabey Black was the last one.
You bastard. You had to go there.
Yeah. Because that's another one. Everyone's like, "Oh, you get a smoke." I was like, "Not really." Like it's not. It's just like, oh, we're putting 200. Yeah, that was another one. It was 200 that went to market to 10 accounts across the country, five lounges, five NFT holders. So we didn't have any, but Nelson had given us a few at PCA that year. So I just held on to it, and I was able to smoking that down. That was special. That was a
Dude,
really yeah.
I bet. Can you tell us about that for all of us that missed out on the first run? What was it like?
Smoking or the whole NFT. So
Well,
I'll
a
just
little bit of both, I guess. But
yeah,
I'm
yeah, I
curious
guess.
about the smoking it.
Yeah. So to kind of rewind to explain like what how that came about. It was like one weekend. NFTs just kind of started to hit. I'm like, what the hell is an NFT? What do you mean it just went for $1 million or $500,000? What the hell is an NFT? And I looked up, I was doing some research and learned a little bit about it. And then, I was like, oh, are there any cigar NFTs? And I was like, Cuban NFTs, cigar NFTs, vintage cigar NFTs, and and there was nothing. So I was like, I came back and said, we should do a cigar NFC, just be the first NFT that came out. And then we talked to Nelson, and he said that's amazing. My son just talked to me about an NFT this weekend or something. He's big on it because Nelson has two boys, and the oldest one, who's probably 28 now, but I had talked about NFTs, and Nelson said that he had the Atabey Black that he was working on. It's a Maduro Atabey. Do you think it can work? And what would people say? And he's like, I just have one size, and not much because I'm just experimenting with it. And then it just, I don't know, everything just kind of lined up, and we said, well, let's do an Atabey NFT. And when we released it, everyone's like, you guys are morons. what's an NFT cigar NFT? Like, I don't get it. So can you smoke it? We're like, no, it's just a digital image on the blockchain. You would own it. And they're like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, we had so much pushback. And we did it just as, one, to be the first NFT, and then two, just to see like what would people say about Atabey coming out in a Maduro wrapper, because everybody talks about, when they talk about Atabey, kind of starts with the packaging first, and then they talk about the wrapper, and then they talk about the cigar. So, it was good on the side of, well, are you going to come out with a Maduro Atabey? I would love to try that, and people were excited for it. And when we released it, we had 10 NFT boxes and then 25 NFT individual cigars. And we sold the individual NFT for the single cigar for $50, and the box went for $1,200. So at first we did sell a lot of the singles. People were just buying it because they wanted to own it, and we didn't say it was coming with a cigar or anything. They wanted it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how much longer after that, because we did get a call. I talked to John Carney about it. He had called up and said we were doing, he's like, you guys just beat us. We're working on this NFT, and they did it a whole different way. And
Right.
for generating a buzz behind it, where I guess people could understand and you could buy it, and it was more of a licensing way to do it, and they made a lot of money off of their NFT. Then people started to come to our NFT. They're like, well, how much is your NFT? I was like, it's $1,200. You just buy it. We're just selling it for what the retail is. Like, it's not I don't want to call it it's a cash grab. I mean, that turned into a cash grab. You're buying a license, like you would buy a liquor license, or any other type of license, to then to either operate or be able to sell that particular product. So this NFT was turned into, okay, well, yes, you are going to get a box, because we didn't know what the cigar was going to be. It was still like 2 or 3 years out before the cigar was going to be ready. And Nelson, wasn't 100% sure what it was going to be like. He's like, it's going to be good, but I don't know what it will be. Blah, blah. So then it turned into, we only released 5 of the NFT boxes first. So there are still some available that aren't, well, I shouldn't say they're available. They're in reserve, so that when that production increases, as he typically does over the years, then if we can release more, we will. But right now, to make sure that the lounges and the NFT holders have enough and sell through the product, then we don't have to release more NFTs, because we want them to have the product. So then it came out, and then people started to understand it, but then other NFTs came out, and it is what it is. It worked out for them. But then getting the NFT, or getting the cigar and seeing it for the first time, and this just dark, beautiful wrapper around an Atabey, and then smoking it for the first time, it was another quiet moment where you're smoking, and then you just kind of look. I looked to Nelson. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is so good. It just has incredible complexity, and there's obviously a little more body to it than the Atabey line, but it's still just, it's that clean, smooth experience that you get from Nelson's lines. It's just unique.
Yeah. Can you disclose what the Maduro wrapper is, or as of right now, should we just know it's Maduro?
Yeah, no, that's an Ecuadorian wrapper as well. Just
Cool.
Maduro wrapper.
He's
Ecuadorian, yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. I haven't smoked one in forever. Now I kind of want to if I can find one. And we should have more coming out in November. So that's when it should be coming back.
Sweet.
Yeah, should be hit the market one more.
That is a sexy cigar right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's slick, and I think the black lacquer boxes with the gold just kind of makes it pop as well. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's elegant. It's
Yeah,
it's a different experience for sure.
that's what Nelson does so well, is that understated elegance.
Mm.
Everything is it's not simple. It's minimalistic, but it's not simple. I don't know how to describe it, but elegance is probably the best word.
Yeah, well, it's not yeah, it's not in your face, right? It's not like so yeah, what would it be like eating? No, I don't know. I mean, like whatever reason, cotton candies pop, in my head, because I think you see, like, you see the cotton candy, and it's big, and then you take a piece or you bite into it, and it's just very light and soft, but then there's just this explosion of sweetness for your cotton candy, but there's just for Atabey, there's just this explosion of flavor, um, without overpowering and then taking away from the next puff. It's it's just subtle all the way through. It's like any, a scotch or a wine, anything that has that age that goes through a process where the other impurities are taken out. You're able to taste every bit of the cigar, and it's just, yeah, it's a different experience.
Dude. It reminds me of, like, when you taste scotch and you just have just a little bit that just kind of dissolves on your tongue. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It's just
See, that's more
explosion.
man, that's more manly. You went to scotch, I went to cotton candy. Because I was thinking, I'm thinking pillowy, like this, like a cloud. I remember, I give you said chewy earlier, and I give credit to I don't know if he was the one, but and I kid around with George Brightman, who was
Mm,
the cigar aficionado. He wrote one time it was chewy, and I was like, what the hell's chewy? And he talked about, he's like, when the smoke's in your mouth, it's like you can feel it. I was like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, biting into a cloud. You look at you when you're flying, you look at these clouds and you're like, oh, I just want to take a chunk out of it. And
yeah,
but there's no, there, take a chunk, it's vaporized. Cotton candy, it liquefies, it's gone. But yeah, Scotch definitely sounds more manly.
well, we do what we can here. We do what
Right.
we can. We have to balance it out.
How long have you been smoking cigars? Because I mean, we bumped
Mm.
into each other, how? Like, first, it was like through, it was social media.
Yeah, yeah. I think
I've
I was working with
been
small
talking
batch
about,
then. It was like 2015-ish.
yeah,
I think somewhere in there, 2015
uh,
or 16.
yeah.
Um, I just got started in 2007 after the birth of my firstborn. So not even 20 years, nowhere near in the 80s or 90s.
Right, right. That's a long time, but still a good run.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
feel like it was kind of the beginning of an era ish, right? Because you had, like, what, early 2000s, like 2000, what was it, two or four? You had Tatuaje and Illusione. Like, everybody was kind of rising up the early 2000s. So yeah, I've been able to join the new era a little
yeah,
bit,
yeah,
and then I still got to smoke some Cubans before things went even more downhill. So that was
yeah,
good too.
yeah, yeah. There's still, I mean, look, if you can find a good Cuban, it's beautiful tobacco. It's just that, the process. In the end, I think it comes down to it's just the process
Yeah.
before, during, and after, what you do with the cigar. And that's, like I was talking about with the tacos. Uh,
Hmm.
we sit down and cook with the same ingredients, it's going to be a different dish.
Yeah.
So tobacco's the same, how you handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about this recently with somebody else. Just the concept of cigars kind of tasting the same, because I heard it again in the lounge a month ago. Somebody's like, all cigars taste the same, so I just buy the cheapest one. Okay, fair point. Fair point. But I really do think it'd be harder to get every cigar to taste the same than people realize, because every single release, every production run, every harvest, I mean, people are trying intentionally to keep the same intent, the same flavor, and it's so hard. It is
Yeah,
so hard.
Yeah, incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
When I first, so when I first sat down with, I started with United in 2016. When I first sat down with David Garofalo, the owner, he presented this portfolio and talked about the cigars, and I was looking at price point. I was like, wait a second. I had just come from Vegas. I worked in cigars for 14 years in Vegas, and we did sell expensive cigars, and we sold the Macanudo Portofino for $20 on the cigarette hostess tray because you had a captured audience, and yeah, you have to give money back to the casino and blah blah. So there's everyone wants their cut. So it's a $20 Portofino, which is offensive. But then coming here and saying that the cigar is 20, 30 plus dollars, I was like, well, wait a second. But then I smoked it and I was like, all right, there's something unique here. And I was fortunate enough to take cigars from my that were, Cuban, some good Cubans and some good cigars. So when I started to introduce Atabey to the market, some would say the same thing. They're like every cigar costs $1, right? That's the typical. And first of all, that's so far from the truth now. Like, and now it's gone way up. But not every
Oh,
cigar.
dude, if I could interject real quick, I was
Yeah,
reading the other day Cigar Aficionado's first magazine. The average cigar price was, I think, it was like $2.40.
yeah, yeah,
And that was
yeah,
early 90s, right? 93-ish.
yeah. To have a $10 cigar, that was expensive, 10, 12. And once you start to get into like I think Diamond Crown at the time was like an expensive cigar because on the West Coast we could get Diamond Crown, we couldn't get Opus. So even when I would fly back to Boston, um, I would buy a bunch of Opus and bring it back, and then we would sell them there because Diamond Crown was the only thing that we could get. So Diamond Crown, they were like 16, and that was expensive. And that's what I mean. Coming here and saying that there's a $30 cigar in 2016, I was like, that's expensive. But yeah, I tried it and I was like, well, there's something unique. So anyway, I would sit down with retailers and some would smoke it and be like, yeah, it's too mild for me. It's too mellow. I'm like, and maybe you're just like, oh, I don't mean to be offensive. I don't want to be sound like a cigar snob, but maybe you're just not ready for it. And that's it's the same like when you're growing up and you try scotch for the first time. You're like, who the hell's drinking this stuff? It's gasoline. It's terrible. But if your palate's not ready for it, so the guys that smoke like oh, I can't taste the difference. They're all $5. I'm just going to smoke the cheapest. It's unfortunate because there are some $30 cigars that shouldn't be 30, and there are some $12 cigars that should be 30.
Yes.
But it's all subjective, and it depends where you are in your smoking experience, where your palate falls, and we all have a different level of spice. Like the three tacos you ate, I don't know how much hot sauce did you put on it, and if it's too much because you're like, oh, I just want it really spicy. Well, that's like somebody putting too much Ligero, or it's just overly spicy. It takes away from the tobacco. You can't taste anything.
No,
So
totally right. And for everybody watching, that was a white guy taco right there. That was that was as mild as it gets.
that
But
onion was spicy.
dude, it did have one of them had white onion all over it, and that was good. That was the right
Right,
amount of kick that I needed.
right, right. That's funny.
But
Yeah,
I think milder cigars are so hard to get right.
yeah,
And so to do Atabey and that delicate luxury that you taste without being overpowered, that's hard. I mean, that's freaking hard.
yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard in anything,
Hmm.
right? Well, McDonald's sells more burgers than anybody in the world. Is it the best burger? No, but it's just it fills a need, right, to
Hmm.
consume. And some people think it's a good burger. They like the how it's topped or whatever. But then you can go to a different restaurant, um and like a high end spot, Delmonico's, or whatever. And the type of meat that they use, the bun, the ingredients are different. and then the way it's prepared is different, and it tastes different. But some people will eat that like it's a burger, and they're just not ready for it. You know, you talk about scotches and whiskeys. I'm sure you have some high-end aged spirits, but you might give that to somebody that only drinks Jack Daniels. They want that heat. They want that, you know, that taste, that burn. Oh, this is good. Yeah, but your mouth is like blasted with this heat and alcohol. You don't taste anything else.
Yeah.
You know, if they're not
To be
ready.
fair though, I kind of feel the same way about vodka myself. Like I mean, a lot of people have like their preference of vodka. I just go with Ciroc, I think it is. But like I just go with just a generic vodka, but like I can't really taste the difference. But I also haven't spent the time to elevate my game and understand it either.
Yeah, I was the same with tequila. I drink a lot of tequila now, but before it was like, what was it? It was Cuervo. Jose Cuervo makes some good tequila.
Dude, they have, was it the family edition or
La
Familia?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Yeah, the Añejo, extra Añejo or Añejo, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But what was in the market and what was popularized, and you know, I was a big Willie Nelson fan, and you know, he was promoting it. I had a big cardboard cutout in my room, and it was him holding Cuervo. But that was like, all right, I take this. It's got to be chilled. I have to have the salt. I have to have the lime because I have to kill the taste of everything. Right. So if you're not ready for it, but now I spend money on tequilas, like good tequilas. And if I don't think somebody's ready for it, I'm not pouring them a glass of that tequila. I'll give them a nicer, you know, tequila, but yeah, no, I'm not wasting the good stuff on them.
Yeah. That's fair, man. That's fair.
You got to be ready for it. And I couldn't, I don't know if I could tell you the difference on, well, probably because some's like rubbing alcohol, but on vodka.
Yeah, and apparently they judge it, like heat is a factor. That heat on the back end is part of the judging criteria. I don't know. I'm so out of the loop on vodka. It's weird. But there are people that will just pour a glass and take a shot of vodka, and that's just not me. But tequila, yes.
Yeah.
But brother, I probably need to let you go. They've got chainsaws next door.
Oh boy.
I don't know if you can hear that. But dude, thank you so very much for taking the time today and having lunch beforehand, so I could be the only asshole eating.
I gotta grab like a real. I grabbed a quick bite. I thought you were holding a cigar though. The way you were holding that taco was rolled up, even like that. Like, oh no, that's not a cigar. That's a taco. You know what I mean? It's very, very similar. Yeah, no, I grabbed a quick thing out of the fridge in between, and then I grabbed been drinking these Spindrift, just sparkling. Yeah, but it's got it's just real fruit and water, supposedly. Whatever.
I'm also rocking the Costco brand sparkling water.
Oh, look at you, Italian sparkling mineral water from Kirkland.
Pinkies up when you drink it.
Pinkies up. Yeah, man. No, it was good.
Thank you.
Good to connect. I love this easy format.